Hello and happy Wednesday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now.
Being up late at night, speeding, distracted driving, those factors all play into this.
Why the summer months are called the 100 Days of Death for teenage drivers.
I'm super proud.
Home is the finish line for two Mainers competing in the Atlantic Cup, and they're off to a good start.
The death toll from Hurricane Maria is staggering in Puerto Rico, but a new study finds that the number could be underestimated by the thousands.
This is News Center Now.
They call it 100 Days of Death. From Memorial Day to Labor Day, teenagers die in car crashes at an unsettling rate. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. Here's what you need to know before your young driver hits the road.
It's the point where we see, on average, about 14% increase in fatal crashes during that period of time.
That period of time is known as the 100 deadliest days between Memorial Day and Labor Day, when accidents involving teenagers rise. This video released by AAA shows just how quickly things can go wrong.
It's so stupid. Like, I look down and I'm like, what am I doing?
Grace Kierstead is 17 and knows firsthand about the importance of paying attention at all times.
I looked up and the light was green, so we were going. So I quickly went to change the song, and then it was red again, and I looked up and I was almost about to hit them, and it was just like, it did something to me. I was like, that could have happened so easily. There was one thing I was trying to do and I could have just gotten in an accident.
The numbers don't lie. Nationally, 29% of all motor vehicle deaths involving a teenage driver were speed related. 6 out of 10 teen crashes are related to driver distraction. In Maine, the average is 11.4 teenage deaths per year over the last 5 years. And the top distractions for teenagers include talking to other passengers in the car and interacting with a smartphone.
Like, I look down and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm texting, like, what's up to somebody, and like, that could be the reason that I'm like in the hospital with a broken leg or something. Like, it's not worth it at all. It's so dumb.
And Pat Moody of AAA says that parents can have a huge impact making sure that kids have some structure, know where your teenager is going, who they're going with, and having expectations about when they want them home. And
your teen may want to drive down to the beach this week.
Yeah, because there's a few stunners coming up in the forecast here, Keith.
Not bad. I mean, today was one of them, right? A lot of sunshine, cooler than yesterday, but still not bad. Upper 60s and low 70s, 72 in Waterville, 73 in Freiburg, almost 80 in Berlin. They've been finding a way to get warm regardless. Satellite radar is clean across the entire state. Yet another beautiful day, and it's amazing how often we've been able to say that in May. We'll talk more about the statistics of what this May looks like by the numbers. It's obviously been a warm and dry one. But that continues today. And if we zoom out, there's really nothing to speak of going on to our west. So tomorrow is another nice day. A few more clouds in the afternoon, but much warmer tomorrow. So tonight some fog does develop most likely along the coastline 4 or 5 o'clock. And then we'll burn that off. We should be able to do that relatively quickly. And after that, it's 80s inland, 70s along the coastline, perhaps dropping back into the 60s by the afternoon with an onshore flow. So tomorrow is either pleasant like today or hot, depending on your location. Guys, we'll talk about the weekend forecast, which continues to improve. The trend going in the right direction. We'll talk details in a few minutes.
All right, looking forward to that. So obviously getting out of the water is a very big part of living life in our state. 2 elite sailors have been all over the world, but now they're racing home to Maine, the finish line to a world-class competition.
Keep your eyes on number 127, one of 11 Class 40s competing in the Atlantic Cup. Skippered by a couple of Mainers, Mika Davis and Rob Windsor. They came in second in the first leg of the race, from Charleston, South Carolina to New York City.
We, of course, love being home. Yeah.
Davis is from Harpswell and Windsor lives in Portland. They say nothing beats a home port advantage.
I mean, it's special. We've raced all over the world. There's not many times you get to sail into your home port, see your family. It's a neat feeling. I don't know. I'm not sure how to describe it.
No, I think it's fantastic. It's really nice to be able to know that you might get to sleep in your own bed.
Usually, sponsor logos are splashed onto sails and hulls, but the Portland team is sporting the Maine Coast Heritage symbol to raise awareness for the conservation nonprofit.
We all come to Maine because it looks like Maine, not because it looks like Cape or the Jersey Shore we just sailed up. And so we want to make sure people know about land conservation, know about all the hard work that goes into preserving our coast.
And on their uniforms, Warrior Sailing's logo.
It's really just about making sure that our veterans get a chance to go out and compete and get on the water. The ocean's a pretty special place for both of us.
This is the 6th year for the Cup, the 2nd time the finish line is in Portland. The best place you can catch all the action?
Eastern Prom. Yeah, and that's where you'll be able to, it's kind of neat. Portland's a really nice amphitheater for racing. You can sit up on the Eastern Prom and watch a lot of the action. So we'll be coming in hopefully on Monday.
Fort Allen Park, up on the grass up there. You can look down straight over where the finish line is going to be.
Sailors from 9 different countries are competing, and right now Mika and Rob's biggest competition is a French team that's finished right before them in the first leg. Lee?
Lindsay, police shut down a very popular tourist area in Portland today for 3 hours as they investigated what was being described as a suspicious package. This red floral bag was left on Commercial Street in Portland about 10:30 this morning. The bomb squad was called in to investigate. People could not walk or drive for 3 blocks, and people in the target area were asked to stay inside. The bag was eventually found to be harmless, and police say it's the location that triggered the intense response.
The thing that makes it suspicious, quite frankly, is the placement next to a federal facility. This is offices for Customs and Border Patrol, as well as some other federal agencies. And it's also a historic building, a federal building.
Luckily, everybody was safe. Some employees from the Porthole restaurant turned into spectators. They weren't able to get through the caution tape to go to work, so they set up lawn chairs and watched until the scene was cleared.
It's a warning blasted on social media. Reset your router or be hacked by Russians. Is the alert legit or an internet spoof? We verify. And patients now have the right to try nationwide, a big win for critically ill Americans. Next.
Now, with the passage of this bill, Americans will be able to seek cures right here at home, close to their family and their loved ones. We are finally giving these wonderful Americans the right to try. So important.
Patients battling life-threatening illnesses will be able to try experimental drugs and treatments that have not been approved by the FDA. President Trump says patients can spend more time with their families now instead of traveling abroad to seek out alternative cures. Before, families had to petition the FDA. With this law, they can go to drug companies directly.
So the FBI has been warning every American to restart their home internet routers right now to put a stop to a malware attack. This alert is all over the internet. Now, were your fake news senses tingling? Certainly seems like a classic scare tactic spread around by internet trolls. So we wanted to verify, is the FBI telling Americans to prevent a malware attack by restarting home routers? The answer is yes. The Federal Bureau of Investigation released a public service announcement saying, in part, foreign cyber actors have compromised hundreds of thousands of home and office routers and other network devices worldwide. The malware may be able to collect any personal information that passes through the router. The FBI recommends that you reboot the device to disrupt the infection. Now, the Justice Department says it's tracked the hack back to one group that goes by a number of names, including Apt28 and Fancy Bear. In the past, the hackers have targeted the U.S. government, the military, and other intelligence organizations. The DOJ says that it has uncovered links to the Russian government. All you have to do to stop Fancy Bear from collecting your data is turn off your router, then turn it back on. Or it may have a reboot button to make the process even easier.
Former President Bush will probably be in a Biddeford hospital for several more days. A family spokesperson today said 41 is in high spirits, but is still receiving treatment for low blood pressure. Late this afternoon, Governor LePage responded saying he is glad to hear HW is recovering, and his wish is that the former president enjoys this summer at Walker's Point in the best of health.
Some communities spent millions of dollars rebuilding after a nor'easter that flooded parts of southern Maine, but now the federal government will be helping out.
And scorching temps for some, but others will be treated to a nice sea breeze. Keith's full forecast is coming up. Maine will get more than $2 million from the federal government to help the damage from a winter nor'easter. President Trump approved the governor's request for a disaster declaration today. The March storm left much of York County flooded. The money from FEMA will cover repairs for bridges, buildings, streets, and other public infrastructure. Governor LePage tweeted his thanks to the president today. This is the second disaster declaration for Maine within a year's time. The first was for the October windstorm that left hundreds of thousands without power.
According to the government, 64 people died in Puerto Rico because of Hurricane Maria.
But a new independent report says the death toll is actually in the thousands. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez went to track down the truth.
Here in Puerto Rico, there is a lot of frustration, but not necessarily surprise, following that Harvard University study that estimated that at least 4,600 people may have died in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. That number, of course, dramatically higher than the official government count of just 64. Harvard researchers went door to door, sampling about 3,000 or so homes and extrapolating that information to arrive at that estimate. But they say while the number may not be precise, they think it could actually be much higher. Now, local officials here seem to be blindsided by it a bit. They say that they welcome the report, and Governor Ricardo Rosselló is pointing to another report that was commissioned by the local officials that's due out later this summer, that one by George Washington University, to perhaps get a more precise count.
We want the real number to come out. We had a protocol that really was subpar, and we recognize it.
But the question now is Puerto Rico ready for another hurricane season? It begins on Friday, and critics argue that it is not. FEMA now trying to put fears to rest by saying that they have new distribution plans in place for those supplies, and that officials have learned their lessons from the aftermath of Hurricane Maria.
Pre-Maria, we had FEMA personnel and DOD that eventually came. Post-Maria, we probably have sevenfold that human capacity over here already prepared.
But again, with hurricane season starting on Friday, there are still many questions here about the readiness of this island. Much of it is back up and running, like here in the capital city. But there are thousands still without power in several mountain communities more than 8 months after Hurricane Maria. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
The Eiffel Tower is certainly a sight to see by itself, but the Eiffel Tower being hit by lightning is pretty amazing. Heavy rain and thunderstorms have been sweeping across the country in recent days. Paris was hit pretty hard. The French Open tennis tournament had to actually stop play last night because of those storms. I know that I have been to the Eiffel Tower. I think that you have been to the Eiffel Tower, Mr. Carson. Have you been to the Eiffel Tower?
No.
Gotta get there.
All right.
But Clay's back there. I can put the bug in his ear.
Yeah,
right.
Clay, take her.
Clay, Eiffel Tower.
Here's a great tip for you. If you want to skip the ridiculous line to get to the top, you go to the part with the restaurant, say you have a reservation. They don't check till you get to the top. And at that point, you're already there.
Thanks, Keith. Now they will check.
Oh, wow.
You don't actually want to eat there.
Up the outside.
Yes. You don't actually want to eat it this way. Even by my standards, it's too expensive. The restaurant is ridiculously expensive.
Okay.
It's 300 euros a person. Yeah. So figure that out.
Okay.
I had a baguette. That's all I could afford was a baguette at the time.
No food is worth
Delicious.
that much. I don't think.
Baguettes are free.
I'm sure it's great. Anyways, nice day today. Sunny, 60s along the coastline, 70s farther inland. Berlin sitting at 79, the warmest reading in the state right now, but 76 in Millinocket and Presque Isle and Frenchville in the mid and upper 70s as well. For the most part, though, it's been just a little bit cooler along the coast, and we've had clear skies. A bright day, looks very similar to yesterday, but of course significantly cooler in most spots. We were in the mid 80s, some upper 80s yesterday, but we'll be clear through most of tonight. There's a little bit of fog that will roll on shore. Got to show you this. Look at Alberto as it moves up, and Ryan and I were talking about how it actually looks a little bit better to the north of Cincinnati than it did when it came on shore as a tropical system. So it never had that much in the way of teeth with it, but interesting to watch its evolution as it goes now into the Great Lakes. No consequence to us, though. That front that it was moving it along will come in on Friday. Hour-by-hour forecast showing us some onshore flow and some fog tonight. That fog should burn off pretty quickly tomorrow morning, and then it's just a case of inland versus coastal. So inland it will be hot, mid-80s. Coastal will be upper 60s and low 70s. I don't know why this particular computer model keeps being on the cool side temperature-wise, but it'll be warmer than this. I'll show you the temperatures here in just a second. But after that, we start to cloud up a bit on Thursday night and more so into Friday, and then showers and maybe a rumble of thunder come through Friday afternoon as our front moves through, and that front moves out relatively quickly on Friday evening and into Saturday. So temperatures here on Thursday are going to be a lot warmer inland. Again, mid-80s, 70s along the coastline, some 60s in Rockland and Bar Harbor. The trend continues to look good. Hold on. Don't jump your horse here. Come on. The trend continues to look good for the weekend, in which it looks like the front will get through in time, so we should have a decent day on Saturday and Sunday. Guys, in case you were wondering, and you probably weren't, but I was, right now, 4th warmest on record for May in Portland, and 5th driest on record. So our perception, or my perception at least, that it's been a nice May, seems to be backed by numbers so far. Again, the weekend at this point looking good. I'm not willing to write off any chances of showers, but I'll tell you what, on Monday, the weekend looked terrible. So we're definitely going in the right direction there. Probably rain next week. I don't love the whole of next week, but if we can get out the weekend, good enough, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Good. Yeah, we already get extra days than we thought, so it's a good thing. It's all house money. House money. All right. Thank you, sir. So day 2 of the National Spelling Bee, and the kids are dropping like flies. Get it? Bee, flies. The early rounds are single elimination. The preliminary written test was yesterday, and keep in mind, these words are really, really hard.
Like this one, Ian Lee from Bangor spelled bugaku, not bugaboo, correctly in round 2, which is a classical Japanese dance. But barium, which is a whitish metallic element, took Ian out of the game.
Colin Aponte from Blue Hill correctly spelled Zervé in the 2nd round. Zervé is an unsalted French cream cheese. Hey, speaking of France. But in the 3rd round, Colin incorrectly spelled doublet, which is an outer garment worn by men back in the Renaissance
I was
days.
going to say by yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, mixed feelings on social media after the popular TV reboot of Roseanne got canceled, the president even weighing in.
Yeah, today the actress Roseanne Barr is blaming her race-fueled Twitter rant on a sleep aid, but the big pharma company that makes the drug says social media mistakes are not a listed side effect. NBC's Sarah Doloff has that story.
A new torrent of tweets a day after Roseanne Barr apologized and announced she was leaving Twitter, following a racist post that prompted ABC to cancel her show. My words caused hundreds of hardworking people to lose their jobs, she writes in one. Explaining in another, now deleted tweet, it was 2 in the morning and I was Ambien tweeting. She also lashed out at cast members who criticized her original tweet, calling former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett a child of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. Jarrett appeared on MSNBC Tuesday.
I think we have to turn it into a teaching moment. I'm fine. I'm worried about all the people out there who don't have a circle of friends and followers who come right to their defense.
Oh, wow, look at this.
The Roseanne reboot was TV's 2nd most popular comedy, but the network canceled it within hours of the star's tweet.
I can't see another media outlet at this time actually picking up her show.
Wednesday, the president commented not on the content of Barr's remarks, but that Disney CEO Robert Iger called Valerie Jarrett to apologize. Tweeting Iger never called President Donald J. Trump to apologize for the horrible statements made and said about me on ABC.
He's simply pointing out the bias. The president's pointing to the hypocrisy in the media, saying that the most horrible things about this president, and nobody addresses it.
Meanwhile, the makers of Ambien also weighing in, tweeting racism is not a known side effect of any Sanofi medication. Sarah Doloff, NBC News.
All right, what's more Maine than a Maine black bear? Not a UMaine graduate, but an actual black bear. Today's That's So Maine moment comes from Lori at the former Loring Air Force Base. She says the bear was looking for some food, obviously, but her bird feeders were empty. Remember, if you decide to take a picture of a bear, please do it from a very safe distance.
Yes, please do. And a lot of you are feeling the Maine summer vibes this week. Jeff Roberts, hashtag That's So Maine, on this video of the beach at twilight. Remember to use the hashtag That's So Maine so we can find your beautiful or quirky Maine photos. You can also post them to our Facebook page.
All right, so a reporter faked his own death and then shocked his colleagues by showing up at a press conference. What? No idea, but Amanda Hill is going to tell us about it because it's coming up at 5:30. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Lee. Yeah, also ahead, how young is too young to hold down a job? Well, the governor says we can tackle part of our workforce shortage by hiring more teens. And does sugar added turn you away in the grocery aisle? Maine maple syrup producers worry a government-mandated label gives their natural product a bad rap. Those stories and much more straight ahead on News Center at 5:30.
Sugar added makes me want it more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want more.
Sugar added makes me
yes, please.
go round and round and round, not want to go to sleep. And more cavities. We'll be right back.
All right, so this is the first hurricane season since Katrina that New Orleans project with the levees and the flood walls and everything is finally complete. With this, $14 billion later, is the largest pumping station in the world, which we have some video of that I found on YouTube. So it's basically like your basement. They're going to try to control the water, but if they can't, they're going to sub pump it out. And that's the plan. A couple things to think about here, though. Even this only holds up to a 1 in 100 year storm. Katrina was a 1 in 250 year storm. So there's nothing they can make to protect New Orleans from that. Lake Pontchartrain was the source of the floodwaters. A lot of people don't really think about that, realize that. Look how it's situated compared to the ocean. Now let's take a look at Portland, and I just want to point this out. It's not always what you would think, right? Here, the same thing happens. Back Cove is the first place for us to flood. So the water piles up and comes in from the other side. So they did everything they can. They hope they don't have another Katrina, but when Mother Nature wants to get that nasty, there's not much we can do.
Okay. All right, News Center 5:30 starts right now.